Welcome to the real journey of the entrepreneur. The journey of any entrepreneur begins with a decision, then writing down your vision, then the execution of that vision. It is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who understand how powerful your mind is and that you can truly create the life that you deserve. It does require a unique formula that includes belief in yourself, a lot of consistency, connecting with an OG, a lot of tears, missing out on a few events and things, and taking a whole lot of risks that will allow you to see your vision and dream come to pass. This journey of the entrepreneur is from the perspective of a wonderful mother, a business owner, whose goal is to break generational barriers and normalize the process of wealth building and financial wellness through entrepreneurship, all while creating a social and give back along the way. I am sharing this journey with you and invite you to share this process with me. Let's do this together. It's my own, but you have to feel comfortable to own it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I will always support you.
Thank you.
Well, hey there, good people. We are back. We are back for another phenomenal episode of the real journey of the entrepreneurship. My name is Anita Pierce, and I am not only the producer and host of the show, I am also the founder and CEO of 11375, where we aim to inspire organizations to realize their full potential. Through our coaching and training services is one of the aspects that we use as a vehicle to help to accomplish that goal. But on this specific process, in this space of entrepreneurship, I have to tell you that in this space of hosting and learning from other entrepreneurs is priceless to me. And I always find it a privilege when I have the opportunity to interview those who have the courage to share their true journey. And one of the things that I'm learning about this space of entrepreneurship is that it's really all about consistency, all about having courage to share and to speak your truth, and also knowing when you have a new opportunity and discovery about yourself. It's all a part of the continuation of process. No, it is not what is curated on social media. It is day to day, in and out, sometimes evenings, sometimes hair is not done, sometimes hair is done, sometimes children are in the mix, sometimes you are doing this alone. So you think you are. Until you find out that you have a great team that you are newly connected with, as such as myself. So over the next few weeks, you're going to see a lot of familiar faces, to some, an introduction to you, and reminder to others that you're not alone. And I learned that most recently by being now connected with a group of phenomenal entrepreneurs. And my next guest is absolutely no different. Is Stephanie Larkin is the founder and CEO of Red Penguin Books. Most of us have dreams to be in this space of becoming an author, and I am one of them. So I have the distinct opportunity to be able to welcome my next guest, who will provide us with some realistic tips and tools about what it really means to work with a publishing company, some of the challenges that exist, and how you can have the courage to finally get that thing off the piece of paper and put it in an organized way. I want to just stop talking and just bring along my guest. Stephanie, please keep me quiet, please.
I was loving listening to that. Are you kidding? I thought that was great. Now I'm like, what's your book? I can't wait to hear about your book. I'm excited.
I'm excited too, but that's why I wanted to, get it from who I call an OG, an original guardian who is in this space. Welcome, Stephanie Larkin. How are you today?
Good, thanks. So thanks so much for having me. Love to be here. And you know me, I love to talk books, and I really love to talk entrepreneurship. That's huge.
Well, let's start by not just talking about books. Let's tell us about who you are, what's not in the bio, because we all publish things that, you know, our credentials, as entrepreneurs and, etc. But tell us really about who Stephanie is.
Sure. And yes, my bio, founder, CEO. I have three wonderful kids that I adore, who are my reason for doing everything. And I'm a pet lover. I really, really adore animals. So a dog, two cats, two turtles, loads and loads of fish. I'm really all about animals. I'm a huge nature lover, travel buff. I've been to all sorts of interesting places, from the Amazon rainforest to riding camels through the Sahara Desert. I love travel and love nature. I'm also a musician. So, yeah. Fun fact there. Look at you. You didn't know that.
Did not.
So I am actually a trained classical musician. Um, I would say I did all that way back when, but it never actually leaves you. So I still am a performing musician and director, and love doing that. It's one of those things that, at a point in my life, I decided I loved doing that, but really didn't love that lifestyle that taking that to the next level was going to be. I really wanted to have a family life as well. And many friends of mine who were in that, professional musician space, you end up on the road a lot and traveling. And one of the things that I loved about going into the entrepreneurial space, I jokingly say that I get to make my own hours, but Anita, you and I both know that those hours are 24/7. I make my own hours while I sleep with a phone in my hand. And yes, I travel all over the world. And I don't even worry about bringing luggage. I worry about what's my Wi-Fi coverage going to be so that I can work. So talk to me about getting Wi-Fi in 6 different continents, and I can tell you how to do it. I am right there about it. So yes, freedom to make your own choices, but admittedly, those choices mean that I might be like, climbing Machu Picchu during the day, and then at night I'm catching up on the 6,000 emails that I didn't answer because I was climbing Machu Picchu during the day. So you and I both know there's a lot of balance.
Or not, right? Or not.
Or not.
Or not. Because one of the things that you hit on is about the word freedom, right? And we are anxiously, aggressively creating the spaces that we want to see. And it comes with a sacrifice. So I want, when you say freedom, the definition of freedom for whoever you are, whatever you are creating is solely up to what you desire and what you are creating. And there's a couple of beautiful things that you mentioned. The fact that you wanted you first of all, I did not know this, that you were in this is a fun fact, right? I had no clue. Yeah, more of that when you
Yes.
make time for that. But also your why, right? I appreciate your why. And it was, your children, your family, that leads you to sacrifice to create the freedom that you want. So let's unpack that just slightly, because excuse me, oftentimes, again, we are looking at the curated spaces of entrepreneurship. And it goes without saying that we know, right, that during the daytime, I have a 9-year-old, right? She's in school, so I have to maximize
Right.
on what I call the quiet time, right? Then in between that, I have team members that work with me to help me to build. Then through all of that, I have to find time for myself. How do you it's a dance prioritization. What does that really look like for you?
I mean, sometimes it looks like, oh, wait, I have a flight on Sunday. I could sleep on the plane. sometimes it looks like that. I mean, it really does. For me, I've been in business since my kids were younger, and one of the reasons, I mean, yes, love to create my own empire and all those wonderful things that go with it, but I wanted to be available. I really wanted to be home and available. So having a business, and then I ended up hiring all of my best friends who still work for me. Our kids are in college now, but there was a time that we would all sit and work in the office, and the kids would all be sitting there around the TV, you know, watching SpongeBob or playing. And now they're still here. But like I said, the kids are in college, but we're still here in my office. It's great. But all of us had that freedom. If somebody's kid was sick and suddenly had to stay home from work, you know, stay home. Well, if they're not that sick and they just kind of needed a mental health day, bring them and throw them on the couch. That kind of freedom with the kids. Now my kids are older, which means I'm not really on that day to day. But when kids get older, they need you, maybe not in these little pockets, but now all of a sudden I have to go away for 2 weeks, or I have to be someplace, you know, in bigger. I always say the bigger the kid, the impact is longer time and much more money. But again, I still have that freedom, as do my team members. You know, hey, you know, I've got to bring my son up to college next week. He asked me to stay for a few days. Stay. You know, we learned, you know, during pandemic that remote work is a thing, and we can all do it. So for me, it's been that. But you know, it's something else now, Anita. I realized as my kids were getting older, and I might say this first for my daughter, but I've heard this even. I have a daughter and 2 sons, that they're watching, and they're watching what I'm doing. And I always kind of thought, I want my daughter to see that she has options. You know, when my mother graduated from high school, she basically had like just a handful of choices: nurse, teacher, nun. That was one of the big 3: nurse, teacher, or a nun. When I graduated, I had more choices. My daughter, the world is your oyster. And I realized, and my mother, you know, good for her, went beyond those choices and became like a powerful executive. And she really, you know, went back to college as a grown-up, and she did all these things. And I look at her, and I know my daughter looks at me, and I've heard even from my sons who have said to me, now that they're, you know, in those formative, you know, hey, I don't want to just work for somebody else. I want to do my own thing. I want to make something that is exactly my vision. And I know they're looking at me when they're saying it. So it might have started, let me be an entrepreneur so I could stay home in case someone gets sick at school. But now it's, you know, I'm an entrepreneur, and my kids respect that, and they realize that the world is whatever they want it to be. And I like that.
You know, Stephanie, that is hopeful for me, because my daughter is she's still young, but I agree. She's watching. She said to me recently, you know, as we go in, I try to keep her on a schedule that works, so that the goal is to really get her enough sleep. That's my goal. So we have a process, the wine dine time, you know, the reading, you know, she has her little time. And then she said to me, well, I know that after I go to sleep, you're going to go back into your office, and you're going to be snacking, and you're going to be working. The snacking part, I didn't know she knows that I snack. That I have to change. But the fact that she knows that I'm working, and that I am prioritizing during my day when she comes home is a beautiful thing. So they are watching us.
Yeah.
They are watching us. And it makes me excited to know that, at least gives me hope that I'm doing something that's positive. Even though she says that she's the boss of
She's 9. She thinks she's the boss.
yeah, I just let her go with it. So publishing.
Oh, that's a loaded word.
Very fancy, very fancy. What does it really mean?
You know, I should like put a big definition instead of a
Oh,
bookcase here. No, to publish technically means to be made public. That's
mm,
actually what to publish means. It
okay.
means that something is made public. So if you have an article published, now it used to mean like print, like if you had an article published by a magazine, it meant that they made it in their magazine and they made it public.
Mhm.
Nowadays, because of the online space, there's a lot of blurred. I mean, any of us can put anything we want up online. To be published generally means that some other entity kind of voted you onto the island, shall we say.
Mhm.
That, we can all have our own blog and our own website, and we can publish whatever we want there. But doesn't it mean more to you when, I mean, yeah, you could put an article on your blog, but if that article got picked up by somebody else's blog or ended up on like Newsweek or something, now you feel like I got published.
Right.
And that's the kind of the same thing with the book. Years ago, there were only certain, the big five publishers, and they only published, the top people. You could write to them. You could hope that they would publish you. They turned down 99.9% of everything that crossed their desk. And then self-publishing came out, I'll say about 20 years ago. And that is a huge boon to people that they can actually do this. But kind of that way that I was describing, that, we could all self-publish our own blog. I mean, for one thing, it's a lot of work. You're checking your own work, you're editing, you're making sure it's all your dots are crossed and everything else. Plus, you didn't get that stamp. People still sometimes want that stamp. But I think of us more as that partner. There are some people who self-publish fantastically. My brother-in-law, in fact, my husband's brother, is a self-published novelist. I think he's got about 9 or 10 novels he has self-published. He has it down, man. I've said to him, Craig, I could do that for you if you want. I'm sitting right here. And he said, no, I kind of like what I'm doing. And that's great. But if you've never done it before, Craig is good at it. If this is your first rodeo, not even counting the writing of the book, which is a whole nother animal, but just all of those things that we do, editing, laying out, format, margins. I bet you didn't realize that in a book, the margin that's in the middle has to be a 1/4 of an inch wider than the margins on the end because of what they call the gutter, the seam. You don't know that. I know that. All of the things that go into making that book, like taking it from just text on a page into a book. Now, you could figure it all out. You're a smart person, but it's probably going to take you like 200 hours. Do you really want to do that? Like that's the thing. It's a lot. Some people do it and do it beautifully, but we are partnering with you. We go every step and everything because it's a creative process. So for me, everything should be exactly what you want. I'm not going to tell you what goes on the cover. I'm going to ask you what you vision. And our artists are going to come up with, a bunch of samples, and then we're going to send them to you. We're going to talk about it. You're going to say, "My God, I love this one thing here, but I hate the color." Okay, great. Let's work until the book that is in your hand is exactly like what you manifested. It's what it should be, and that's what we do.
So thank you for that. And right? Because um I've been severely misinformed, right?
Oh,
And so this is why having conversations with those who are actually in the space makes the conversation facts, full of facts.
right.
So with self-publishing, right? There's this ownership component that I think most authors, the reason why they do is because I don't want the publishing company to have a cut or to have this or to have ownership or to be they don't want necessarily a middleman.
Mm.
But from what you are describing from both
Right.
perspectives, right? It just makes sense to have a partner
Right.
who's experienced in the space and understanding that you two are in business, so you need to pay your light and bills as well.
And
So,
are different, I'm a big one for author ownership. I am huge. I am privileged to be the publisher of, hundreds of books, but I'm not the author. The copyright remains with the author. The author has all of the rights. Anita, you have no idea how many authors have written books that have been turned into a TV show or a movie, and they're getting nothing because their publisher took all of those rights. I've seen publishing contracts that the publisher not only is taking the rights to this book, but they are getting the rights to all of your futures as well. Future books, I think that's disgraceful. I always say to authors when we begin working with them, you have everything. You could leave at any time. You always have all of your files and things. I am thrilled to be a partner with you. If they're going to make a movie or a Broadway show, I would love it if you would invite me to the premiere because I have a really nice dress and I will be there and I'm going to bring you roses because I'm so excited. But I have no right to stop you. And honestly, I have no right to profit off of that. This is your baby. Like, please invite me along. And I say to my authors that I work with, and please share all that stuff with me because I keep spitting it out also. Like, hey, one of my authors is doing an event here. Go to it. This is exciting. I want to be your partner, but I am not profiting from that, all of that. So I understand what you're saying about ownership. And I would ask anybody who's going to work with, whether it's a book publisher or quite frankly, I think in any space, whether they're designing your website or whether they're designing your t-shirts, make sure you own your stuff. Because I get a lot of people who come to me and find out after the fact that they thought they owned things. I just discovered yesterday a photographer who was supposed to give over ownership of photos of something that was contracted. And I found their website. They're actually selling prints for $130.
Oh,
yeah. Oh. So it happens in a lot of spaces. And I definitely understand why people like to do things themselves because they're a little scared. And I get that. But I think all of us need to just educate ourselves so that we know where the ownership of our own things begins and ends. If you had someone design your logo, Anita, you want to make sure you own that. You don't want them, bugging you that you should be paying them royalties or whatever it is. You might not have designed it yourself, but it's your logo. Same thing I say for domain names. I own my own name. I purchase for all of my children and nieces and nephews. As soon as they're born and they're named, I purchase their domain name and give it to their parents.
Okay, that's new. Ding, ding, ding. That's new. Okay.
I just don't want there to be a problem.
Oh, okay.
So I buy all of my kids and niece and their domain name, and it's registered. Registering a domain name is like $15 a year. It's worth it to have your own name. And that's what you were saying about ownership. We need to guard ourselves. But that doesn't mean never working with someone. That just means going in with your eyes open.
Okay, Stephanie, I was not expecting that. Right. So this is what happens when you are having conversations with another entrepreneur, but really an OG in the game, an original guardian, not original gangster. Don't put that out there. Original guardian, right? That's my term of OG.
I like it. But we got to watch out for each other. We do.
I know. It's really, so a couple of things that I am taking away. So I'm going to actually do the domain thing because you're not thinking. So I did it for the business, right? I went through the process of registering, trademarking, protecting the 11375 brand name. But I didn't even think about my own name. My goodness. Because when you Google, there's a lot of
Exactly.
who knew a name like mine would be so popular? But
no, I'm actually waiting for a name to get dropped. One of the people in my family, somebody who's like a real estate agent in New Jersey, has the name, and I'm kind of waiting for them to just like go out of business, retire, and let the name lapse so I can grab it.
holy smoke. Okay. Yeah, that is a gem. I am going to do that's a today thing
And
because
for your daughter too.
yeah, for my daughter, not even like thinking about that. That's really great. So the idea of working with an experienced team,
Yeah.
walk me to what a day would look like.
Sure.
Hey Stephanie, I want to come and do this children's book that I've been having on my vision board like forever. When I mean Stephanie, and this is true, and it's been forever. And I'm like, let me just do the book because why not? But then I'm like, how many hours should I be writing? What does illustration look like? Oh, should I just have my daughter write it because she writes? Like, I don't know. Hello, Stephanie, help me.
Well, it's so funny because right before I logged on with you, I actually was in a conversation with someone about a children's book. And a super experienced writer has written like 20 novels, and she was asked to write a children's book for a nonprofit.
Mm.
And she called me up and she said, "How long is a children's book?" She said, "I've never, literally, we're talking like a New York Times bestselling author just called me and said, I've never written a children's book, but I'm on the board of directors for this nonprofit. They want a children's book." So when and it was funny because this is you and me, and I'm 30. The average children's book, by the way, is 32 pages. That's not a number as in you're going to get turned down or something, but it's a good target number because it reflects what children are, their attention span.
Mm.
It's generally good for the star of the book if it is a person as opposed to an animal, and animals are fine too, but if it is a person, for them to generally be about 2 years older than your target reader. Meaning if you are hoping that this is a book that you would have 3-year-olds being read to, then they should be probably 5. If they're 13, the 3-year-old has no interest.
Right.
But if they're 3, they can't really do things as much as the 5-year-old can do more things. So we generally aim for about 2 years older than your target. If you're just going general children's book, 9-year-olds make really good, they're still not in the double digits. You know what double digits means? They think they're all grown up now.
Yeah.
So 9-year-old protagonist is a good one if it's not an animal. Since I mentioned 32 pages, what I would say to you in your vision board, and we would be doing this in meetings, you and I would be meeting. And then once we sort of roughed out some things, now we're going to have a 3-way so that I can introduce you to, we have illustrators who work for us. Before that, I'm going to be sending you samples to say, these are some of our illustrator styles. Which one is speaking to you? Let's get on a call. And in advance, I will have shared with my illustrator what you've told me about your character. So when we have that first meeting, she's got character sketches already. So she can say, is this what your character looks like? And you could say, wow, I thought they'd be a little shorter. And, or I thought that if it was an animal, for example, we did a book about an alligator, and the length of the tail, we wanted a very short tail so that they can fit because they were living in the home, and, back and forth. Then I'm going to set up a chart for you, and we're going to take 32 boxes, and we're going to have the text and what we're picturing that image is going to be, so we can work on our story. Because children's books, people think they're like, oh, there's not a lot of words. You need to choose each word carefully then. You know what I mean? Like, if you were going to write one of these novels on my back here, these have like 70,000, 100,000 words. you could have some like poorly chosen ones. You know what I mean? There could be some bad sentences in there.
Okay.
But a children's book, you want to choose carefully. So then, Anita, we'd be talking about what is the storyline going to be. We're going to say, okay, the first couple of pages, we're kind of introducing the characters, nothing boring like, here's Molly. She's a raccoon, you're like in a story. We're going to figure out what's happening. There should be a problem because in every book, there should be a problem. Just like in every movie, every television episode. I mean, if you just think about any episode of a TV show, there's a problem. Whatever the show is that you're watching, there's a problem and they solve the problem. If you think about a movie, there's a problem and they solve the problem. I mean, if you're watching science fiction, the problem is that there's aliens invading from space. If you're watching, some kind of a crime thriller, you find out in the beginning that the problem is that this major art artifact has been stolen, or they've gotten the code to the nuclear reactors, or whatever the problem is. And then they solve the problem. Of course, in the solving of the problem, there are usually like 3, count them next time you watch a movie, 3 bad things that happen. Like they almost got there. And then, something happens, right? And then they almost crack the code, but they open the door and it's all wrong and it's a fraudulent thing. There's usually 3. Our minds work in 3 things, but on the 3rd one, they beat the bad guy, whatever that is. You can, whether you're thinking about Star Wars or honestly, even a romantic comedy. The problem is, this girl got burned by her last boyfriend. She got left at the altar. She's never going to commit again, whatever it is. Okay. And then there's this handsome yet snooty waiter that she meets, and she has no time for him, but their paths cross 3 times. The 3rd time, the charm, right? Watch a movie tonight. You'll see there's always the exact same story arc. So if you're working on something brand new, we're going to talk about these things. We're going to work on these things. We actually have a bunch of, online classes, whether it's children's books or fiction or poetry, to help our authors with that process. And then we also have writers groups where they can be meeting with other people, what they call workshopping these things. Hey, let me read you this passage. Am I on the right path? So sometimes people come to us and they're at that, like, we didn't write the book yet stage. Many times people come to us. Every day I open my email and somebody sent me a manuscript. It's written already. I'm ready. I'm done. I want to be published. So we're at a different stage. Okay. So it could be this stage, like I'm thinking about it, in which case we can get you in on that stage. We could be I finished it. Or we have another stage, and that's the people who come to us and say, I've heard that if I had a book, it would really help me in my business, my credentials. I'm trying to get tenure at the university, whatever their need is. And they say, I need a book about X. Could you write it? And we do that for people too. Kind of fun fact, and there's no proof of this, but they say that about 60% of the books in a bookstore are actually ghostwritten.
Wow.
I've ghostwritten many books. I know many ghostwriters who have ghostwritten many books. If a book is by a celebrity, by the way, they did not write the book.
Okay, so I have a quick follow-up question, right? Yeah. About, now you got me, you mentioned ghostwriting. How do you break down the revenue share? Like, what does that look like for you as the ghostwriter? So ghostwriting means that you're not even mentioned?
It depends. Many times you're not even mentioned. Books that I've ghostwritten in general, I am not mentioned on that book at all. Okay. Nobody knows that I even exist. And honestly, it's usually not a revenue share. It's a flat fee.
Gotcha.
Very few ghostwriters are actually interested in revenue shares unless they're ghostwriting for a known entity that they can say, oh, look, the last book got X number of dollars, then I'd like a revenue share. In general, it's more like a flat fee.
Okay, another new light bulb. Okay, yeah. Not right. I'm saying in my head, not right now, because I can't even write my own first book. So
well,
yeah.
when people come to me for ghostwriting, honestly, I generally say, I mean, unless it's one of these like, top people, you know how people have like way more money than time? I mean,
Right.
some people really have way so much money. If you're just sitting on money and you don't know what else to do with it, you want to write me a check, I'll give you a book. It's fine. But in general, if somebody like I'm hearing from you, Anita, that you actually want to write a book, in which case, when people come to me and then they say, maybe I should talk to a ghostwriter, I say, no, 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 no. That's for the people who don't want to write a book. Like they just need books out there. And there's lots of that. I mean, I've written everything from textbooks to, all sorts of things. But if you want to write a book, I would not want you to get a ghostwriter. I'd want you to write that book because it's in you. It's inside you. And you know what? It's kind of like an itch that if you scratch it, it's still going to be there. So I'd put you in like the path of, well, then let's work with a book coach. Let's work with a group. Let's take, we have some videos and courses. Let's start moving the process along, but that it's coming from you. And we do have coaches that, they can call you once a week and say, you owe me a page. Did you write me a page? You need a page. No, we do that.
Yeah, no, that is my cue. That is going into, so we're in 2024. I have on my vision board to start the process over the summer. So that will be this summer because I have big vision, big dreams, but I feel like I need more than one person to just pull this stuff out of my head. But I appreciate that because, when you are, at least when I'm doing research, I think I know what I know, but then when you talk to an OG, it becomes, the truth. So stop giving me misinformation, people.
Yep. Well, that's what I'm here for.
I know. So, Stephanie, I need to have another conversation with you, but I don't want to keep you all day. But you bring a wealth of knowledge and experience in this space, and I really appreciate it.
I am here. Ring me up. I'm here.
So let me just ask, for those, as we wrap up, with some very realistic tips. Someone who may be thinking about, one, being in your space as an owner, and also if they're interested in doing the book thing. What are some realistic tips from the entrepreneurial perspective?
Sure. Well, I mean, if you want to be, so you want to be an owner of a publishing company or just an owner in general?
An owner of a publishing company.
Terrific. What I would say first, and I've seen this trajectory for a lot of people, is definitely start publishing, like self-publishing. You're going to learn a lot of ropes. There's a lot of great information out there to help you, but you got to jump in the water. You really got to. The other method would be, and we take interns here all the time from various colleges who want to be in the publishing space, whether they're writing for another company, working for one of the larger publishing houses, something like that. But definitely get your feet wet, whether you go get wet through publishing yourself or working for other publishers to see what's going on. But I think that there's definitely room in the space because surveys say that 90% of the population wants to write a book. Mm-hmm. I would say that number is probably true because every room I walk into, when it's known that I'm a publisher, people, oh, I wrote a book. I want to write a book. I have a book in my drawer. I was thinking, I'm inundated. I am inundated. So I would say that there's definitely room here. We have a waiting list. So if somebody wants to get into the space through a publisher or through self-publishing, or ring me up, please, because we take guest editors for a lot of our books. We have a lot of programs from writing a poem to writing a whole book. We try to have options for people on all sorts of levels. So if you're interested, please contact me at Red Penguin Books, because I would definitely get you in to like our anthology series, into our book review club, into guest editing some of our books, things like that, so you could learn all the ropes. I am more than happy to help somebody who's interested in the space.
So I bet you all are wondering, how did I meet Stephanie?
It was my lucky day.
it was all of our very, very fortunate day.
Yes, it was.
Stephanie is a part of my squad. We are Goldman Sachs, um, 10,000 Small Business Cohort 40 XL. We are the original XL. Um, and I want to say that because a lot of times it was like almost 3 months that we were meeting once a week in this room that houses in New York. We did the New York program. And I have to tell you that um, the inspiration of knowing that I can do it right came when I met Stephanie. She didn't know that, but she didn't know that I wanted to write a book, and it's been sitting on my vision board. And then I've kind of like have like some little things in my phone that I've been tip tapping and wrote. But to hear to be encouraged, through in a space that we didn't know each other. I didn't know what she did, and she didn't know what I did, was the vibe that I needed. And so shout out to Stephanie, because we're going to be calling and working on that separately. I have that as a part of my personal growth plan that I want to work on for myself, because it's been sitting there and I need to erase it off. So I want to thank you for that, just sharing your story, who you are, and what you are doing. I also want to share your website visibly for those who will be watching us, redpenguinbooks.com. There are a number of ways that you can enter into this space. Stephanie mentioned publishing, marketing, some of the books, shows, workshops. It has a wealth of information there. But don't hesitate to reach out, because a lot of times when we see things on podcasts and we're inviting you to reach out, is because we really are invested in making the world a better place through the work that we are engaged in. And Red Penguin is one of these spaces that you can enter in and actually feel good about it. So want to say redpenguinbooks.com. Stephanie, you are a gem.
Thank you.
To come back. But before
I'll
I let
come
you
back.
go,
I'll come back anytime.
before I let you go, I have some fun questions.
Okay.
Usually one word, but there's some that it goes eh. So what is your preference these days? Shoes or sneakers?
I actually wear these fuzzy red Ugg boots all the time. So I guess they're kind of like sneakers. But here, wait, can I get one up there? That is my shoe of choice, but they feel like sneakers. So I'm gonna have to go sneakers.
And I must say on brand, on red.
And red, of course they're red.
Of course they're red. Why wouldn't I?
I could have a red penguin water bottle sitting here that a client sent. You unscrew it and it's water.
You know what? Let me just say, if that is not brand upon, and it's red, like, come on, Stephanie.
Oh yeah, I'm all about it.
That's a lesson in itself. Next question. Pizza or burgers?
Oh, here in New York, I'm going to have to say pizza. Good pizza. When I travel, I'd probably vote burgers because I won't eat a slice of pizza anywhere but New York.
That part. New York.
New York pizza while you're here. And anytime I have people coming through who are staying with me or whatever, we have to get pizza and bagels before they go back to the airport.
Yeah, that's a tradition.
Yep.
Okay. Next one. Ice cream or smoothies?
Ooh, ice cream. I have to admit, I could just live on ice cream. I'd probably say ice cream, coffee, and wine would be my big three. But yeah, ice cream. And if anybody, if you're like on the show or you know of any interesting ice cream parlors, I'm all about like little interesting boutiquey, odd flavored things. I actually road trip and I pick my ice cream parlors across the country first.
Interesting fun fact. Again, love it. In 3 years, Stephanie, 3 years, 3 years. Red Penguin Books, what would it look like for you?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, we say a global enterprise, that, but for me, I guess, and I love that, but I'm all about impact. Uh,
Mm.
I have a map in my office with a little push pin where every author is, and of course, their books here. And right now, we've been on 6 continents. The only continent we do not have an author on yet is Antarctica. So, by the way, if any of you have a friend who's stationed there at the science station and they want to write a book, please put us in contact. So I love impact. I mean, I'd love to see that the map falls off the wall because of the weight of the push pins, because I know that means that there's a lot of authors out there. I love when I go to LinkedIn and I see how many people their job title says that they're an author at Red Penguin Books.
Oh,
I love that because it's impact to me more. Every single book, our motto here at Red Penguin Books is changing lives one book at a time. And I love that the books are changing the lives of the reader, but honestly, my primary responsibility and what I work with is changing the life of the writer, because when that book comes out, you're a different person. Anita, when that book is finished, and when you open that box, because I'm going to send you a box of books and some champagne, you're gonna be a different person. And writing a book is so important. I tell people that their bio, your bio says all these things about you. Writing a book is so vital to who you are as a person that your bio will say something like Stephanie Larkin, author of. That's like right there. It's up before any degrees you might have received, all those things. It's right there next to your name. So I love changing lives. So for me, 3 years from now, it's just that there's so much more impact. It's that our summer barbecue, we have to move it to a new location because we got so many people.
and I'm going to be added to that list.
You
So
got it.
I am very grateful to have you extend your time and to get into this thoughtful conversation. Stephanie, you are a gem.
Thank you.
And thank you for all that you are doing to make us better in this world. redpenguinbooks.com. Please do not hesitate to reach out to Stephanie and her team to bring those dreams into black, white, or green, I guess. I don't know.
Or full color. Children's books full color.
I know. I don't know. So, Stephanie, I'm going to say thank you.
Thank you.
Virtual kisses.
For having
And
me.
see you again soon. Take good care.
You too.
So, friends, family, I love all that I am engaged in. This is what I mean when I interview other entrepreneurs that have way more experience than I do in certain spaces. This is how I learn and engage. So thank you again, Stephanie, for joining us. redpenguinbooks.com. Please do not hesitate to reach out if that is your desire and your dream. Also, just wanted to share some tips. I do take some notes, trying to type as fast as we can behind the scenes. Some tips if you're interested in jumping into this space as a publishing company. Stephanie gave some very practical advice because you don't really have to do it all by yourself, but she did recommend, start self-publishing, intern or work at a publishing company, or you can work as a guest editor, specifically at Red Penguin Books, because they are looking actively for your gifts and talent. So I want to thank you again for joining us. And it's always an honor to have you check in with us. Again, if you are interested in being one of our guests, or, just taking some part of some of our services, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Please do not forget to like, share, and follow us. We are on the social platforms, but you can reach out to us on our website at 11375.com. And we're super excited to have you join us. So don't forget, stay tuned with more episodes to come. And I'm going to say so long. Salute to you all. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye. This week I have been dealing with the role that I play as a leader, manager, business owner. And something that came up frequently, specifically this week, deals with the fact of how we treat the people that partner or choose to work with our business. And every day there is always a choice to uplift or a choice to bring down. And that choice is daily. Do I minimize the people that are helping to grow my vision, my dream, or do I provide a space where we are growing and developing together? It's not easy. Every day is a choice. Welcome to 11375. My name is Anita Pierce, and I am your Chief Experience Officer. At 11375, we offer strategic alignment solutions specific to you and your business goals, and also connecting everything with social impact. So if you are looking for a really amazing organization where we help you to focus your strategy and connecting it with social impact, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are on all the social platforms, and you can contact us at 11375.